Hello and welcome to this introduction to research and using library resources for art history. I'm Esther and I'm the Academic Liaison Librarian for the School of Philosophy and Art History at the university. In this video today, we're going to look at what research is, some tips for planning your own research, where to search for academic sources, and where to find guidance on referencing when you're writing your assignments. So, what exactly is research? We all do a certain amount of research in our daily lives. For example, if we're looking to book a holiday or a meal out, find out what's happening in the news, perhaps buy a new phone or find a recipe. For these purposes, most of us would start with a Google search. However, Google is not usually the best place to find sources for your academic assignments. That's because academic research is not just about gathering factual information. It's a logical, systematic and in-depth study of your topic, and it's often guided by theories and ideas that already exist. You will need to study the work and opinions of other scholars and pull their ideas together to inform, support and structure your own argument. To do this, you will need to go to where the relevant academic conversations are taking place, which generally means books, journals and other scholarly resources rather than websites. It's important to do some planning before you start your research on any topic. First of all, think about what it is that you need to find, as this will affect where you search. Are you looking for primary sources, such as art objects or images of them, news articles, letters, diaries, or interviews with artists? Or are you looking for secondary sources, i.e. those which offer discussion and a critical perspective on your topic? Secondary sources in art history might include books, journal articles, and unpublished research such as dissertations or theses. And some of these secondary sources will include images of or extracts from primary sources. In this video, we will be concentrating mainly on finding secondary sources. You may not have come across academic journals before you started your university course, so I'm just going to explain briefly what they are. Essentially, a journal is any publication that is issued in parts at regular intervals. Examples of journals you might be familiar with in day-to-day life are daily newspapers like The Times and The Guardian, or weekly magazines like the Radio Times, Heat and Autosport. Academic journals are often published a bit less frequently, for example on a monthly or quarterly basis. There are many different journals in the fields of art and art history, but some of the major ones you'll come across are Art Bulletin, Art Journal, the Burlington Magazine, and Art History. Journals tend to be where the latest research on a topic is published. The articles in them are usually written for an academic audience and they are peer-reviewed, which basically means that they have been checked and certified as suitable for publication by other experts in the subject area, and that would normally be academics. Individual journal articles are generally shorter than books, and they also have a much narrower focus. Regardless of what types of sources you're looking for, it's important to think about which keywords you're going to use for your searches before you start. I'd recommend spending a few minutes just brainstorming your topic to identify some possible keywords. You'll usually be able to use some of the words from your essay title, but think about alternative words you might also be able to use, for example synonyms and related concepts. If you are carrying out research for this essay topic, discuss how women are represented in at least one artwork by Picasso, then you could start with Picasso and women as keywords. However, you might also want to try searching for female, feminine, or even the names of individual women who you know Picasso portrayed in his art. In addition, you could try searching for the titles of specific artworks or artistic movements that you know Picasso was associated with to look at the wider context. Searching is very much a process of trial and error, so you will probably need to try different combinations of keywords. It's usually best to start with just 1 or 2 words and then refine your search if necessary. Never just type the whole of your essay title into search engines. Not only will it rarely get you any results, but you will probably also miss out on a lot of potentially useful sources. Once you've got your initial list of keywords, you need to decide where you're going to search. As I've already mentioned, Google is definitely not the best place to search for academic material, and websites like Wikipedia are not considered to be credible sources, as literally anyone can edit them, so you should never cite them in your assignment. Where Wikipedia can be useful, though, is for gaining an overview or a background to your topic, and for identifying possible keywords for searching. So, where should you search? Firstly, I'd recommend having a look at the reading list and the Moodle page for your module. There, you will usually find a selection of sources that have been recommended by your tutor, who is himself an expert in the subject area, and your essential readings and also many of the background texts will be available online. You can access your reading lists from the Moodle page for the module. There will usually be a link on the right-hand side of the page which will take you to the relevant reading list. Do look out for details of background reading on the main Moodle page as well, though, as some lecturers only put the essential texts on the reading list. This is the reading list for the first year AR 121 Art Revolutions module. If we scroll a bit further down the page, you can see that there are links here to the online versions of all of these readings, and you can access the full text regardless of where you happen to be studying. You'll usually need to enter your University of Essex login details to access the readings online. You will probably also need to look beyond your reading lists to see what else is available on your topic. The library website is the best place to start for further research. You can access it directly using the URL on this slide, which is just library.essex.ac.uk, or via a Google search for Essex University Library. The library homepage includes the library search box, which is just in the middle of the screen there. You can use library search to find books and ebooks, as well as exhibition catalogues, journal articles, and various other material. The default search will find all of these items. Bear in mind that for books, library search is only searching across the titles and subject tags of the books we have, not the full text, so you may need to use quite broad keywords when you're searching for books. For example, we may not have any books specifically on Picasso's representations of women, but a book on Picasso generally may include a chapter or a section on this topic. You may well have used library search before, but I just want to draw your attention to the filters on the left-hand side of the results list screen. You can use these to filter your results to specific types of material, as your results will normally contain a mixture of books, ebooks, journal articles, theses, and other material. You can filter your results to include just ebooks, for example, which may be helpful if you are studying remotely. To do this, click on the Catalogue tab at the top of the screen and then select eBook from the format options on the left-hand side. You'll then see only the books that are available to access online, and they'll all have a link that you can click on to view the full text. After you've logged into any of the library's ebooks, you can either browse the contents list to find what you're looking for, and you can see that on the left-hand side of this screen here. Or alternatively, you can use the Search Within tool to search the full text content for a particular keyword. This option is available for most of our ebooks, and you can usually find it somewhere either at the top or on the left-hand side of the screen. Although this book is primarily about Latin American art, a keyword search for Picasso within the book would allow you to see quickly whether any parts of it might be relevant to the example essay title we're looking at. If If you find a book in our print collection that you'd like to access, but it's not currently available online and you're in Colchester, then you can use our click and collect service to borrow the book from the library. If you're studying remotely, we may still be able to get you what you need. We can scan an individual chapter from a print book and send it to you by email, or we can purchase an e-book if it is available. Or we could arrange for a copy of the book to be sent to you directly at your home address from the British Library. Our video on how to access resources if you're studying remotely, which is available on the library website, provides more information on all of these services. You can also filter your library search results to include journal articles only, many of which are available online. To do this, make sure you're on the Everything tab at the top of the page and then click on Articles under Limit Results. You can use the full text or PDF buttons in your results to access the full text of the articles. For some topics, you may find that you get a lot of irrelevant journal articles in your library search results, and it can be quite difficult to narrow down your search. I'd therefore recommend having a look at some of the library's individual journal databases as well, as these tend to be more subject specific. If you want to see which individual e-resources are available for your subject, the subject guides on the library website are the best place to start. You can find a link to them on the library homepage underneath the photo of Campus Cat. You can then choose Art History from the alphabetical list of subjects. And that will take you to the Art History subject guide. You can use the tabs on the left-hand side of the page to see what e-resources are available to help you find different types of material, including books, journal articles, and news and media sources. There's also a websites section, which includes links to open access resources that provide copyright-compliant images of artworks, as well as links to major gallery and museum websites. There are quite a few different e-resources available to you, but these are probably the three most important ones for finding journal articles in art history. So that's JSTOR, Project Muse, and Art Full Text. All of them include full text articles. JSTOR is entirely full text, and it's good for older material, but it doesn't cover very recently published articles. Art Full Text is useful because, as its name suggests, it focuses specifically on art and art history topics. You can access all three of these resources from the Journal Articles page of the Art History Subject Guide. Just click on the links there to log in. We're now just going to take a very quick look at these three resources. When you log into JSTOR, this is the page you'll see. You can either enter your keywords into the search box here, or you can choose to do an advanced search by clicking on the advanced search option underneath the search box, and this will give you more options for refining your searches. Because all articles in JSTOR are full text, there will always be a red Download PDF button next to each search result, and you can click on this to see the article exactly as it appeared in the journal it was originally published in. Full-text databases like JSTOR tend to search across the complete text of every article in the database by default, so you can often end up with a lot of results for your searches. If you want to refine your searches to retrieve more relevant material, the advanced search option will allow you to search for one or more of your keywords just in the title of the articles, which should make your results more relevant. You can also use advanced search to exclude or include items like book reviews if you want to. This is the Project Muse database. If you use Project Muse, you may find some articles that you can't access immediately because they aren't included in the library's subscription. However, you can search the Only Content I Have Access To option from the left-hand side of your results list to filter out the articles which aren't part of our subscription. As with JSTOR, you should then see options to view or download each item in your results list. And there are also advanced search options in the left-hand pane if you need to use them. The search interface of Art Full Text is perhaps a little less user-friendly than those of JSTOR and Project Muse because it takes you straight into advanced search. But it is the biggest database of art history journals, so it's definitely worth getting to grips with. Like Project Muse, Art Full Text does include some articles which aren't full text as well as those that are. But again, you have the option to limit your search results to just the full text ones. You can then use the links in your results list to access any articles you wish to read. So this was just a very brief introduction to the three resources. I would definitely recommend having a look at one or more of them and trying a few searches for your own topic. Bear in mind that you may not find exactly what you're looking for in your first search. It's important to try using different keywords and different combinations of keywords to get the best results. A search for Picasso and female, for example, could retrieve results that a search for Picasso and women might not. Sometimes you may also need to try a different resource, as each database covers different journals and different time periods. So Art Full Text might have a lot of material on one topic, but JSTOR may be better for a different topic. Once you've found some useful sources and decided which ones you want to incorporate into your essay, it's important to make sure that you reference them correctly. Your references show the person who's reading your work how much reading you have done, and they enable that person to track down your sources if they wish to. They're also a means of giving credit to the scholars whose work you have used to support your argument. A number of different referencing styles exist, but for your art history essays, you'll need to use the Chicago Notes and Bibliography style. In this style, each reference in your assignments should have a footnote at the bottom of the page on which it appears. And then you'll also need to include an alphabetical list of all the sources you've used in a bibliography at the end of your essay. If you need any help with your referencing, there are some guides available from the library website. From the home page, click on the referencing link underneath the photo of Campus Cat. And then from the pull-down menu on the next page, select Philosophy and Art History, and then click on Go to the right of the pull-down menu. This will take you to the Chicago Manual of Style homepage, from which you then just need to make sure that you select the Notes and Bibliography style option. The guide itself gives you helpful tips for referencing different types of sources, along with examples of footnote and bibliography entries for each source type, so it's a really helpful resource when you're first getting used to using this style for referencing. That's it from me for now. I hope you found this video helpful, but if you have any questions or you want to know more, then do please feel free to get in touch with us, either via live chat or email, or alternatively you can book a one-to-one appointment with me via Zoom. Just click on the Book a Librarian link on the library website to choose a suitable date and time. Thank you for watching this video and good luck with your research.